Hey, we're going to jump into how you can use AI to automate your DDQ process. Let's jump into it. We're going to be using AutoRFP.ai. We're an AI software application, cloud hosted across the globe with hundreds of customers, everyone from Silicon Valley startups to some of the largest managed investment fund companies in the world, across managed investment funds with portfolios and offices across Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore, using our product every day to answer hundreds and thousands of DDQs. Let's jump into it. So, AutoRFP, you can upload different DDQs that you might get. This might be your ILPA DDQs or just any from your LPs that are coming through and you want to highly automate that process. You can also upload your RFPs and any other kind of compliance questionnaires you'd like. Really, what AutoRFP is, effectively you create an AI knowledge lake with your relevant context. This could be information from your website, whether that's fund information like investment performance over time and other relevant public information. AutoRFP can scrape that information automatically, or it can be technical documents or fund documentation in relation to your products and services and so on. But effectively, all that information, as well as integrating with 15 plus other systems like Google Drive, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, we pull that together into an AI knowledge lake, which is a vector database. Then AI starts to do its work across two different ways to generate DDQ responses en masse. First is the AI semantic search, which uses embedding models and re-ranker models to effectively cite the most relevant context. That's how we have customers in AutoRFP that have hundreds and thousands of, or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of pieces of content in their AutoRFP library with specific categorization in relation to tagging. For instance, here I have tagging. If I was a managed investment fund, I could go all the way down to particular asset-backed credit and different investment platforms and all different funds. And effectively, that relevant context is provided to the LLM. So then it knows what is the right information for automating DDQs. So then you have an AI response agent that takes that relevant context and across a series of LLMs, whether it's Gemini, OpenAI, and Anthropic, generates a response. That can then be collaborated across the team as well as translated to 50 plus languages with translation and AI optimization for localization of translation as well. English US, English Australia, and English UK, and so on. Then within the product, you have workflows, whether it's integrating with your CRM like Salesforce for intakes of new DDQs, importing via portals, AI analysis, and a lot more. And let's jump into that. So within AutoRFP, you have your different projects that might be a RFP, a due diligence questionnaire, and so on. We create those projects, load the relevant files. That comes in, whether it's a zip file, Excel, PDF, Word doc, and we import that information. First, we do a project analysis. Imagine this LP, this is the first time you're working with them and the first time they've sent you a due diligence questionnaire. You may have specific questions that you want to understand before responding to that DDQ based off the context and content in the due diligence questionnaire itself. That's where we leverage an LLM AI to analyze that relevant DDQ and provide any answers to our questions, as it'll provide sources as well as confidence scoring based off that information. So now I've looked through that and I've read through the DDQ. It's time to start answering. First, here our software will automatically mark up the document with AI and OCR to effectively specify what are the requirements and what are the responses that it needs to then generate answers for. So you can see here it's done multiple Excel tabs. It's looked at the PDF and pulled out the requirements there from the DDQ, whether it's tables and so on. It's also done that in a Word doc, other information that might be relevant. Then we can choose what content is most relevant. So here I might say, okay, this is a fund for, and this information's relevant, and that's the kind of content that I want to use to answer this DDQ. Once we have our content selected with your tagging and hierarchy that makes the most sense for your kind of large swathes of context for the LLM, we then can provide what kind of style responses we want, and we can change anything here later, and what languages. Now the fun begins. So this is pretty cool. So we have pulled in all those responses. So now the fun begins. The AI, as you can see, it's ticking up along the top, is automatically generating responses for those questions based off our context. Everything's going to come here from rich text formatting to tables to images. Anything that you have in your content that is relevant for that answer, it will then effectively, like I said, use a re-ranker and embedding model to source the relevant information and then use AI to generate those responses. Any of these responses, I can go in and click here and understand the trust score. And so that will provide whether it's a tag level match across our context. So for instance, our information and the confidence of that response as well. Clicking in edit here, I can see more relevant information. It hasn't pulled from, this is actually expired 2 months ago. So our content features have expiries and teams to review content and all kind of information you can do in the content. If then I want to say this content looks great, but I actually want to suggest any changes or flag it for review, the content owner would then get information for that content. Let's say instead I actually wanted to add in this relevant information and this relevant information, but then I want to add a prompt to edit that with the AI, or just use a little prompt here to shorten that response, and effectively AI now will again answer and edit that response according to my prompts that I've used there. I can see the changes and then I can accept those changes. And of course, there's revision history, an AI assistant, so I can ask it questions to help me understand that requirement in more details. Like maybe I don't know what SAP Ariba is. Sadly, I do, but maybe I don't, and it can tell me more information there. So that's a bit of our response editor. And now all those different responses have come through. I can go to my different sections within the DDQ, like my artificial intelligence section. I can select all those requirements and I can start assigning those to relevant team members. So I might assign this to the legal team as reviewers. And so anyone from the legal team now has the opportunity to review those responses once I start submitting them. And they will get Microsoft Teams notifications or Slack about that workflow and get updates on the process of the project as it goes. Let's take a step back and say I was now project managing this DDQ response because I'm the investment manager for that fund. I can click on the project overview, quickly see how many responses are left to complete, who they've been assigned to, send reminders to those team members, again, Slack, Microsoft Teams, and I can also see when the project is due and how our overall progress as time goes on. We can add additional attachments as well. So I might want to add this attachment and this attachment. So when I export my completed project, that will then include any attachments that either myself or the AI has added. Let's take a step forward and go back to now answering those responses. Here, of course, I can make any changes as I want and submit that and work through my task list of different tasks for those responses until it's done. Looking through, we can also look at any low trust score ones we have, or any that are empty, which will require human intervention to answer. So looking at this low trust score, I can see, okay, why is it low? And then I can go in, I can edit and make changes to that response. You also might notice there's a second AI score here, and this is the AI feedback score. The AI feedback score will tell me of how well that response, whether it's AI or human generated, is answering that DDQ requirement. Okay, so we've just finished editing our responses. We've reviewed the trust scores, filled everything out that needs to be filled out. We can regenerate responses, write additional if you'd like, and so on. Now we're ready to export. So once everything is approved, and what we can do there is then mark the project as completed and then export that entire project. And that can include any proposal templates that you have. So that might be executive summaries and other relevant information that is in your firm's tone and marketing collateral, and then you can have the requirements and relevant context auto-generate into those export templates. And then we can export that and then submit the DDQ. So that's a lot of it. So we're AutoRFP.ai. We're a DDQ software and RFPs that are helping global technology and fund manager companies all around the globe automate the mundane when it comes to DDQs and RFPs, and not just automate, but really help free up people to write better responses, to win more faster. In terms of our pricing and all our information, you can find out more information. If you're doing more than 50 DDQs per year, recommend getting in touch with us by booking in for an online demonstration. And you can find all about us at AutoRFP.ai. Well, thank you. I'm Rob from AutoRFP, and I'm glad I could show you how to leverage AI to automate the DDQ process. Thank you.